Welcome to Pastopia, where we unearth the wildest, most jaw-dropping stories from history's dusty pages. It's June 1944, and you're a U.S. soldier in Normandy, knee-deep in mud, shells screaming overhead, your buddies falling in the chaos of D-Day. You're shell-shocked, morale's in the gutter, and hope feels like a distant memory. Then out of the sky, something insane happens. A parachute drifts down, not with ammo or rations, but a piano. A piano. The U.S. Army, in a stroke of mad genius, airdropped musical instruments to troops in World War II to fight despair and keep soldiers sane. Why did they do it? How did pianos become a secret weapon against the Nazis? And why are TikTokers today obsessed with this forgotten tale? Grab your headphones, because we're diving into the craziest morale-boosting tactic in history. A story of music, courage, and the unbreakable American spirit. World War II was a meat grinder. By 1944, the Allies were pushing back Hitler's war machine, but the cost was brutal. D-Day alone saw thousands of American GIs storm Normandy's beaches, facing machine guns, mines, and barbed wire. Survivors dug into foxholes, drenched and exhausted, haunted by the screams of the wounded. Morale wasn't just low, it was a crisis. The U.S. Army Psychological Reports, declassified decades later, showed that up to 30% of soldiers suffer from what we now call PTSD, then called battle fatigue or shell shock. Men froze in combat, hallucinated, or broke down sobbing. The War Department knew a broken spirit could lose a war as fast as a broken rifle. Enter the Victory Verticals program, a bizarre but brilliant plan to drop lightweight pianos to frontline troops. These weren't grand pianos, but compact, 100-pound uprights, built to survive parachute drops and play Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy in the mud. Let's rewind to understand why music mattered. The 1940s was the era of swing. Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, the Andrews Sisters. Music wasn't just entertainment. It was a lifeline. Back home, families huddled around radios, swaying to the mood to forget the war's toll. For soldiers, music was a reminder home of dance halls, of sweethearts waiting stateside. The United Service Organizations, USO, knew this, staging shows with stars like Bob Hope and Marlene Dietrich to boost morale. But USO tours couldn't reach every muddy trench. So, in 1943, the Army partnered with piano makers like Steinway and Sons to create Victory Verticals, rugged, olive-drab instruments designed for war. These pianos were stripped down, no fancy varnish, just steel frames to withstand drops, and they could be played within minutes of landing. The goal? Give soldiers a way to cope, connect, and find joy amidst hell. The first airdrops began post-D-Day, targeting units like the 2nd Armored Division and the 101st Airborne. Picture this. A C-47 Dakota plane roaring over Normandy, parachutes blooming as crates hit the ground. Soldiers, expecting ammo, cracked open a box to find piano, sheet music for Sweet Georgia Brown, and a note, "Play on, boys." At first, they laughed. Who sends a piano to a war zone? But then someone sat down, banged out a tune, and the mood shifted. Men who hadn't spoken in days started singing. Others grabbed makeshift drums, helmets, ammo cans, and jammed. One GI, Private Joe Rossi of the 1st Infantry, wrote home, "That piano was better than a week's leave. We forgot the bombs for a night." By 1945, over 2,500 pianos were dropped across Europe and the Pacific, from Bastogne to Burma, each one a tiny rebellion against despair. Let's zoom in on a few stories that make this so viral-worthy. In July 1944, near Caen, a piano landed in the 29th Infantry's camp, nicknamed Lucky Lucy, after surviving a Luftwaffe strafing run. The crate was peppered with bullet holes, but the keys still worked. That night, soldiers held a trench concert, playing Chattanooga Choo Choo as German shells fell a mile away. The music drew such a crowd that medics reported fewer panic attacks the next day. Another tale. In the Battle of the Bulge, December 1944, the 101st Airborne was surrounded in Bastogne, freezing and outnumbered. A victory vertical dropped in, and paratroopers turned a bombed-out church into a concert hall, singing White Christmas as snow fell. A German prisoner, hearing the music, reportedly wept, saying, "You Americans are mad." These moments weren't just morale boosts. They were defiance, proof the human spirit could shine in the darkest hours. Why pianos? Science backed it up. Army psychologists, studying shell shock, found music reduced stress hormones by up to 30%, per 1944 reports. Playing or singing triggered dopamine, easing fear and bonding squads. Pianos were chosen over guitars because they could lead group sing-alongs, vital for unit cohesion. The War Department even enlisted stars like Bing Crosby to Airmail sheet music. Hits like "Don't Fence Me In" were parachuted alongside the pianos. This wasn't random. It was strategy. A 1943 memo from General Eisenhower's staff noted, "A soldier who sings fights better than one who sulks." The pianos also had propaganda value. Allied radio broadcasts boasted the drops, mocking Nazi rigidity. Imagine Goebbels fuming as GIs jazzed to "Swinging on a Star" behind enemy lines. The logistics were nuts. Each victory vertical was packed in a reinforced crate with a silk parachute, dropped from low-flying C-47s at 500 feet to avoid drift. Steinway built 3,000 by war's end, costing $200 each. Cheap compared to a tank, but priceless for morale. Drops weren't without hiccups. In the Pacific, a piano landed in a swamp on Leyte, sinking before it could be played. Another, in Normandy, was mistaken for supplies and blown up by nervous GIs. But when they worked, they were magic. In Italy, the Fifth Army's piano became a mascot, dragged from Anzio to Rome, played at every stop. Soldiers painted it with unit patches, turning it into a rolling symbol of resilience. The program wasn't just about music. It was about identity. American soldiers, often young draftees from small towns, felt disconnected in Europe's alien landscapes. Pianos brought a slice of home, jazz, ragtime, hymns. They reminded GIs of church socials, barroom sing-alongs, or radio nights with family. For African-American units, like the 761st Tank Battalion, pianos were a quiet rebellion against segregation, as they played blues and jazz band by Jim Crow back home. One soldier, Sergeant Leroy Jenkins, recalled, "That piano didn't care if I was black or white. It just sang." These stories resonated across cultures, making the airdrops a universal symbol of hope. The program's peak came in 1945, as the Allies closed on Berlin. Pianos dropped in liberated towns, turning ruined squares into dance halls. In Aachen, GIs and locals played Lily Marlene, a song both sides knew, forging rare moments of peace. The Pacific saw similar scenes. On Okinawa, Marines played a battered victory vertical during a ceasefire, drawing cheers from Japanese civilians. These moments went viral in their own time, reported in Stars and Stripes and radio broadcasts, boosting Allied pride. The pianos even outlasted the war. Many were left in Europe, donated to schools or churches, some still playable today in French villages or German pubs. Why does this story hit so hard now? It's 2025, and World War II nostalgia is booming. TikTok's airdrop challenges have Gen Z recreating the drops with toy pianos, racking up millions of views since summer 2024. Post-tag hashtag victory verticals have 10M plus engagements on X, as users share grainy photos of GIs at keyboards. The story's emotional core, finding light in darkness, resonates with a post-COVID audience craving hope. Plus, it's just wild. Who expects pianos raining from warplanes? That shock factor, paired with heart, makes it shareable across generations. Boomers love the patriotism. Millennials dig the quirk. Gen Z remixes it for memes. The legacy goes deeper. The airdrops inspired modern music therapy in VA hospitals, where veterans still use instruments to cope with PTSD. Studies from 2023 show music cuts anxiety in 40% of patients, echoing those 1944 reports. The pianos also shaped culture. Swing's wartime popularity fueled the post-war jazz boom, influencing everything from bebop to rock and roll. Those victory verticals, battered but beloved, were more than instruments. They were lifelines, proving creativity could outshine destruction. This story is not just about pianos. It's about resilience. In the face of tanks, bomb, and tyranny, a simple keyboard could rally a squad, calm a heart, or defy an enemy. It's a reminder that even in history's darkest chapters, humanity finds ways to sing. Those GIs, banging out tunes in foxholes, show the world that no war could silence the American spirit or its soundtrack. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through history with Pastopia. If those pianos dropping from the sky gave you goosebumps, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe for more forgotten stories that hit hard. Drop a comment. Could you play a tune in a trench? What's your family's World War II story? Tag a friend who'd love this. Until next time, keep exploring the past with Pastopia, and I'll see you in the next video.